I said I was going to be back every week, and this is the second week, and I'm back. So yeah, I'm going to keep up with this, or I plan on keeping up with this, and I hope, no, I hope I will keep up. There's no hoping. There's no hoping. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So this new week we'll be talking about the end of privacy. That's the topic we're talking about, and one of the things that I told myself that, like, when I first started this podcast thing, one of the things I promised myself was that I wasn't going to talk about anything I didn't find interesting, right? Because the entire idea of indulge me is for you to indulge me and hear things I think about or my point of view of some things, right? And the main thing for me was that I share the things that I find interesting, and I want you guys to be a part of that and hear my thoughts on it and hear your thoughts too. Comment your thoughts, share them with me. So today is not supposed to be a long episode because it's just going to be about something that I've been thinking about of recent, and it's, like I said, it's the end of privacy and why we fear surveillance. The idea of why we fear surveillance, but we overshare everything. Do you get? So we fear surveillance, but we overshare every other thing online. And so the idea is: are we really terrified of surveillance, or we just don't like to be monitored? The idea of being monitored just didn't make sense. But whatever we share, as far as we're the one sharing it, then we're good with it. So what we fear exactly isn't privacy. What we fear is surveillance, right? So, and this is coming from a point of, I was having a conversation with a couple of people a couple of weeks back, and they were all talking about how there's no privacy online. Like, so it started from the funny thing was he had the, what's it called, the black what's it called, black tape covering his laptop screen, right? And I was like, I mean, won't this ruin the camera, this thing, when you're trying to remove it and make videos? Like, when you're having meetings with clients, you use the camera, right? And every time you, after this thing, you have to paste it back. And it's like, it's nothing. I'm like, but why bother in the first place? And it's um, like the first person said, because they feel like it's very easy for people to watch you, right? And I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like, when people, you don't want people watching you, so it makes sense. But, and then the other person mentioned how it's invading their privacy, and I'm like, okay, yeah. But these are people that are very that put a lot of things online. They put out a lot of things online. They are one of those people that I would say overshare. I'm not someone that I don't overshare at all. It's I don't think I overshare, but at least some people I overshare. But yeah, I don't think I overshare. But this was someone that I would say overshared, or one of them was someone I would say overshares, and that kind of person is paranoid about being watched. So it's like, so it's not really privacy that is not against privacy. It's more or less he doesn't have control, right? So he wants control over the things that he shares, even though it would seem like he's oversharing, but at least he has control over those things and he's the one sharing them. So I think that exactly what he's thinking, right? So, but to me, it's like, if you're going to overshare in the first place, it doesn't matter, right? Does it? If somebody else have like, it would sound a little bit, let me go straight into what I want to say before I actually now start sharing, right? So most people are terrified of surveillance, right? And you see them covering their laptops. They worry about government, like about government tracking them, or like all these big tech hearing what they're saying. You hear someone saying, go and check your audio, what's it called, the access of audio of most of this app that you have, if they have access to listen when you are not on the app, or when you are not on the platform. And most of these apps do have access to that too, actually. So it's like, oh, the idea is that they have access to this thing when you've not given them the information to. And yet you see these people sharing some of these things, right? You see someone post what they had for breakfast, the location of the place, while they are still there, which is actually very sad. Please, when you are somewhere, don't post where you are at, especially sometimes as a woman. But it doesn't even have to be with as a woman, a mother, a child. Like, it doesn't matter. When you are posting, don't post when you are actively there, right? It's like going to a coffee or a restaurant and post that thing while you are there, especially if you have a routine. You can't always tell who is watching you online, so you have to be very careful when you're doing this type of things, right? I know this is not like the type of content It doesn't feel like I'm having fun, but yeah, I am having fun with software because it feels like this is something I wanted to talk about and I think is very interesting, right? So the core idea here is that we want privacy, but we also crave visibility. We don't want to be monitored, but we desperately want to be seen. We want to be visible. So what I think about is this: even though we want privacy, we want privacy on some things and we don't want privacy on some things. So if you are being monitored, you don't know what, you don't have access to what the other person has. So like you don't know what part of your life that they have access to and you don't want that, right? So it's better for you to be the one sharing what you want to share, and then the other parts that you don't want shared, you don't want to share. And the idea of that, even though it's quite interesting, right? It's like if you're going to overshare in the first place, the things that you don't want people to know, there are not a lot if you're somebody that overshare in the first place. Like most of the things that people collect about you are the information I get towards selling you something or knowing this about you to make a decision about people like you. Do you get? So and they can get most of those decisions, they can get most of those data or make those most of those decisions from some of the things that you voluntarily you volunteer to share, right? So if you share something, most of those things that you share, when people say you overshare, most of those things that you share are enough for people to make decisions about you or about your life or about the things that they want to sell you or about the things that you like or the things that you don't like most of the times. And some people will say, oh, what if I lie about it? But if you're sharing it, right, it's more about pattern, right? So you can look at someone's profile and look at their patterns and make a decision, and you'll probably be 90% right, right? Because when it comes to patterns, even if you lie about one thing, like there's going to be like patterns, right? So with those patterns you can tell what is right or what is wrong. Because of that, you can't really call that, it's not really, what's it called, you don't really have privacy, because if I can make a decision about you based on data, based on something, based on the data that you have provided, then I mean, I didn't invade your privacy, you provided the data yourself, right? So that makes sense. But we're going to explore most of the things from different point of view, right? So the first thing would be fear versus performance. So like I mentioned previously, right, surveillance seems to be the issue, right? So when people are scared when you hear that somebody is monitoring you 24/7. It's like somebody has access to everything you say every time, like it does it, like it's scary. It's really scary, actually. It's very scary, right? You can feel the fear someone gets. I would be scared when if I found out that somebody has access to like everything I say, everything I do 24/7. It would be a scary thing. Do you get? So surveillance seems to be the issue. That's where fear comes into play, right? So it feels like I don't have control over it. But if I was the one sharing, sometimes if you overshare, it feels like you have agency. Do you get? Because you were the one that was sharing it. So from that point of view, it would make sense, right? So the idea is, it doesn't, what matters is who is holding the camera, what is being shared. Like if I'm holding the camera and I share the things I want to share, even if I overshare while I was sharing it, is that I made the decision to share it, right? So I shared it. But if I wasn't holding the camera and then it was shared, like I don't have control over what was shared. So at that point you start feeling the fear, then the fear creeps in, right? And another thing would now be the validation loop, right? So you see people talk about lies, comments, some of those things keep some people alive. And I'm not joking. Like, this is a part where I'm going to have a fight. I have seen people do things for likes and comments, and I'm like, is it that important? Like, I get that. Like, so I think as a business owner, somebody that wants a business, if I do something and people interact with it, it makes me it's a feel good thing. It's nice. Do you get? It feels like, it's not like it feels good because I know that the end result of that is there's going to be money back into my pocket, right? If a lot of people interact with the content I make and then it in turns bring me clients, I make money from it, which makes sense, right? So in one sense, you would say for those people too that run after client likes and comments and all, they make money. Like, I mean, most some of them feel like they're influencers and they're influencing things and people are buying because of them. But I have seen people do crazy things to get likes and comments. Like, literally, like, it's it's like, why would you do that to yourself? Like, why would you do that to yourself? Like, why would you put yourself out like that? Like, like why would you base your self-worth on people tapping or people writing things? Like, it's I think it's quite disrespectful to you yourself, right? It's quite degrading. But for them it makes sense. For them it's like it's something that they're happy to experience or to do. So for them it makes sense. But to me it's like, are you joking? So the attention keeps you alive. Like, the attention is what gives you joy, is what it's quite sad. Do you get? And this same person will now complain about somebody invading their privacy when you need that attention to stay alive. You live on those type of attention. You can't really complain. And if you're complaining, what are you really complaining about? Like, make it make sense, right? But like I said, it's quite interesting. Well, people do it. I have seen people do really crazy things for likes, comments, and all those type of things. Like, okay, and you hear someone say, "Oh, I had 10,000 followers more than I yesterday." Like, I've seen this thing in person, and so somebody like me is like, "Okay, what exactly is going on here? Why is it so important? Like, why does it matter if somebody else has more followers than you, or why does it matter if somebody else have more likes than you?" I know the funny thing is that, say you somebody said something one day, right? And it was she wasn't talking to me directly, she was talking to somebody else, and I was sitting there listening to them, and it was baffling. Like, to me it was, because it's like, you cannot this has to be a joke. This can't be real, right? So they were talking about how she went to the restaurant and took pictures and posted it, and I think she got like 100,000 likes or something, right? And by the way, it's interesting. I've never actually gotten 1,000 likes before. I don't think I have. But I don't think it's something that I don't care about that. It's not something that brings, like, 1,000 like, if it's not going to bring me clients, I don't give it. It's not, it doesn't count to me. Do you get? But I think because I don't place value on it, I wouldn't understand how they feel. But so back to my story, right? She got like 100,000 something likes, and another person went to the same place, right, and took pictures on the same in the same background that she used. I think on the apparently the seat was the same seat that she sat in, right? And she got like 50,000 likes. And the other guy was hyping this girl up and like, they cannot be like you. They cannot be like you. What's it called? Like, they can try to copy, but they would never get it or something like that. And I'm like, okay, okay, like, it was such a real conversation, because it's like, why do you care if somebody did, like, maybe you took the pictures, they liked it, they wanted to recreate it, that should be something that you're happy about. Doesn't mean they're after you or trying to. But like I said, I don't know a lot about these things. I'm not somebody that pays attention to those are not things that I care about or I place value on. So for the person, maybe the other person has been doing, the other girl has been doing those type of things a lot and does the same thing that she does, and she felt like this person is after her, or this person is copying her, which I'm just the one person for those type of things. But like, it didn't make sense to me. It's like, why? But like I said, the validation is what a lot of people care about. Like, it makes them feel validated. So likes, comments, following, all those things, it's like the attention keeps them alive. So at that point, they don't care about privacy, right? The more they will do a lot of things to get those, they will do a lot to get validated in that point, in that way. And because they would do a lot to get validated in that way, they would, like, privacy to them is, what privacy means at that point is not really people knowing about them. They want people to know about them. They want people to hear about them. They want people to see them. So there's no privacy. There's no privacy at that point, right? So it's like, because they are the ones sharing it at the same time, right? Another thing would be the trade-off, right? So the trade-off would be, we accept giving away data in exchange for like connection, convenience, and recognition, right? So in that case, you give away a lot of your personal data, a lot of your um a lot of things, based on the fact that you want convenience, you want to connect with other people, you want recognition. So in that point in time, are you scared of privacy? Like, are you scared of somebody watching you when you are giving away the data yourself? Because in return for what? In return for being recognized, in return for making a new connection, or in return for convenience. So that's another way. That's something I'm also looking at. It's like, okay, so you would trade off your privacy for convenience, connection, and recognition, which we all do it in one way or another. I think I am also I'm also like that in a way, right? So I would trade off giving away me talking, or like me having a conversation or sharing something, for connecting with other people, or to find other people to connect with. I mean, I'm a founder led strategist, right? So sorry I help founders with different strategies in which that they can connect with their audience, or their target market, or their potential customers. So it's like, we would there is a trade-off at that point in time. So during that trade-off, you don't really care about privacy, right? Another thing would be the illusion of control. So we think that because we choose what to post, we are in control, but the truth is we are not. The platforms, the algorithm, they shape how we review ourselves, or what we review in ourselves. So you hear that something is trending now, you make a video of that thing that is trending, and you say, because, oh no, because I made the post, I chose what to post, then but not really. You follow the trend. The algorithm determined what you should actually post. You just felt that you were the one that posted it. So this is a question that I have here. Do you think that because someone because do you think that because someone made the post, right? Even though the algorithm, like, they saw something that was trending and then they made the post around it, they are in charge of it? Or do you think the algorithm is in charge of it? Like, if you made the post without thinking about what the algorithm wanted, right, I think then you are in control, right? But if you did it based on what the algorithm wanted, right, because you wanted to trend like every other person, then you're not in control, are you? You made a post based on what the algorithm wanted. So that is where the illusion of control comes into play. You are thinking, oh, I have control because I determine what I post. Yes, you do, but you are following a trend. You are following something so that the algorithm can show you to more people. So in the end, do you really have control? Think about it. So think about it. Are you saying you have control because you posted it because you want to, or because in the end the algorithm told you what to do? Like, not told you, but like showed you what is trending, and you saw it and you decided to make the same post. So does that give you control? So I think it's an illusion. Control in that sense is like, you think you have control, but you don't really have control, right? Another thing would be the cultural shift, right? We had the previous generation who valued privacy, and privacy was dignity. I remember then, like, at some, like, it feels like a long time ago, but it's true. Like, privacy was dignity at some point. It now feels like it's a lie now, but it's truth. Like, people who were private had the level of dignity to them. It felt like they were better than all of us. Oh my god. But it feels like they were better than all of us. But the funny thing about that is that in today's world, privacy feels like invisibility, and invisibility feels like irrelevance. It feels like if you are trying to be private, you are irrelevant. Like, if you are actually that relevant, you shouldn't try to be private. which doesn't make sense. But that's what we are. That is the generation that we've gotten into, and that is what is trending now. And I think very big point on here is that I personally think that that is the scary thing about this new generation that we are in, because people who value privacy are not seen as irrelevant, because which shouldn't be, right? I'm not saying that not valuing privacy should make you irrelevant. I'm saying that there should be a balance, right? So to some people it's like, oh no, it's like if you don't post online, or if you don't have a social what's it called, a data footprint, if you don't have a footprint, it shouldn't make you think that the person is relevant, right? The only people that can pull that off in this day and time are people that are very wealthy. You think, oh, they are doing this because they are wealthy, right? But like most people, we think that a typical person who doesn't have a digital footprint. By the way, I don't think there's anybody that doesn't have a digital footprint. I think everybody has a digital footprint. Everyone. It just depends on how high your digital footprint is. That's it. So yeah, like people with very minimal digital footprint feels like they are irrelevant. Like that is the energy you get. That is the way people are perceiving. That is a perception that is going on around, and I don't think as a society we should promote that. I think it's very wrong. It's like, doesn't even make sense. You can choose to be private and have very minimal data footprints. That shouldn't be something that you what's it called? That shouldn't be something that you make people feel irrelevant for. To get, you don't need to make them feel like, oh, they are not doing great, or they are not great because they decide to have a very minimal data footprint. Another thing, oh yeah, I think that is like the main point for me when it comes to like the things I was exploring when it comes to like privacy. So let me break that down again. The first thing is fear. The second thing is, so like, think of it as the key traits that I explored during the entire episode is like the fear. The second thing is the validation loop. The third thing is the trade-offs. And the fourth thing is the illusion of control, which is interesting, right? And lastly, we have the cultural shift. Like that cultural shift, I don't think is a great idea. I think it's something that we need to all look into and change the way we perceive things as people. It would be great. I mean, it doesn't make sense at all. You cannot. We need to change our thinking so that we don't throw away some of the great things that we had as humans. And so here is my personal reflection, right? So think of it as I had a couple of questions here that would guide what I want to share so that I don't just skip. So the question here is, have you ever hesitated before posting something, knowing you know that what you want to post is oversharing, but did you ever hesitate, or did you just hit publish anyway? And this came from, I have a what's it called? I have some videos that I would never post, and the reason why I won't be posting them is that maybe there's some part of this video that I felt like I was oversharing, and I thought that, oh no, as much as you want people to understand you, you want to carry your audience along, like this is things that I talk about, right? But even as a founder, I know that there are some things that it's oversharing, and a lot of you do that. So I think one of the best way to balance that would be write down the things that you want to share online. Like, so these are the part of the things I want to share online. This part of my personal life, this part of my like say your personal life, I'm going to, like, my personal life, I will only share 30% of the things about my personal life. So those are like the front facing thing. The other things I'm never going to share it online. And then for my business, I'm going to share 80% of my business, or 50% of my business. 50% can be, say, like, would be talking about what you do, how you do it, all those type of things. And then maybe talking about your income might not be something you want to talk about, right? Another thing would be your personal growth. Like, so you need to determine the things that you want to share and stick to them. Because if you don't determine the things that you want to share and you are flowing with vibes and inshallah, it might not be a great idea in the long run, especially because the world we live in is very easy for you to get carried away. So you see someone share this type of content and you want to share that type of content too. But if you have a content pillar, right? Like a guide towards what you want to share, it helps. So like I said, I have some type of videos that I will never share. Like I had made them and realized that, oh no, this does not showcases my value. So it's not something I would share. So for me, like privacy comes into play where I know the things that I want to share, the type of things I would always share online, and the type of things I would never share. Like for this podcast now, I know that I would share things that I find interesting, right? But if the thing that I find interesting has something attached to my personal life, and I know that the only things about my personal life that I want to share are just 30% of my personal life, then I won't be sharing them anyone. That is for me. But for other people, for you, you could find something else. But like you need to, it's important to have it. It's important to have a guide on the things you would like to share online, things that you don't like to share. One thing I know is that, okay, so this might sound funny, but I don't think I would ever be someone that would share a video of myself dancing. If I had done that in the past, maybe that was when I didn't know, but I doubt I have. And the funny thing is that most of my friends have videos of me dancing, like really dancing, like very, very. But I don't ever want to be that person that shares that. Like it doesn't, it's not the type of thing I want to be. It's not the image I want. It's not the perception I'm trying to build around. So it's not something I would share. So you have to determine the type of things that you want to share online. If you don't have a guide, you probably will just keep sharing. Before you know it, you're oversharing. So you need to determine what the things you want to share are and what that would mean for you in the long run. So ask yourself, what are the things you would like to share? What are the things you won't like to share? So create a guide for yourself. Have like pillars of the things that you would share, so it's like if you say you're only sharing 30%, what is 30% of what part of 30% does that mean, right? Like think about it. Although you can grow and outgrow some of those things, but if you have a guide, it will keep you in line. So think about it properly, because in the end we keep talking about how it's the end of privacy. You still have privacy. You still do have privacy. It's just you need to determine what privacy means for you, what information would be oversharing, and what information isn't for you. Another thing would be, another question I had asked myself was there ever something that I shared online that came back in a way that I didn't expect? Thinking about it, yes. So there was sometimes in the past that I went out to a club, and I don't know how it happened. It kind of just ended on my e. So I think it sha happened, sha. Oh my god. It happened. I went out and then I actually did, what's it called? I went out and I posted on Instagram that night, and the next day I realized that I'd posted, or that I'd moved on from it. It's like, oh my god, I shouldn't have posted this, but like it had happened, right? And 2 weeks later, somebody came to my DM. They had screen The internet is such a crazy place, right? So they had screen recorded the video that I shared on my story on that night, at that night that I did it, and they sent it to me and said a couple of things, like really vulgar things, right? And thinking about it now, I felt at first I was like, what? Like, why would, like, this is sick. Like, you have to be sick to do this, right? But it had already happened. And every time I think about it, the things that they shared that day was like, okay, this person will always have this video on their phone or on their drive. I cannot take it away again. Like, I'd given it out. Like, I don't have any control over it. I don't have any power over it. And it was one of those times that made me remember why I don't like social media. Like, by the way, I don't like social media at all. I only do social media because I don't think, at the point in time, I'm not somebody with a lot of connection, and I don't have the liberty to say no to social media. because of what the power of what social media can do for me at this point. But if I ever get to a point where I don't need it, I won't be online. I would delete everything that I have. Like literally. I would. So I'm not a I don't like social media. That's just the head and toe of this is I don't like social media. So going back to that was that person shared it with me. I mean, I did block them. I deleted, like, I blocked them. I did everything, right? But every time I remember that particular situation, it occurred to me that, oh, that person still has that video on their phone. And by the way, it's not a video of me naked. So don't think about that. It's nothing like that. It was a video of me like dancing in a way that would it was just a video of me in a club, right? And like I said, it was such a I probably wouldn't have posted that kind. No, I wouldn't put that kind of video on normal day. But it so happened that I did, and that person did that, and it showed how I think the lack of control, or I felt very out of control, and it was something that was very awful to me. It was like, oh my god, I didn't have control over what this person did with this, and it was awful. But in the end, I experienced it. So have you ever experienced anything like that? If you have, please share it. And what did you do about it? Like, I couldn't do anything. Like, I just blocked the person and I moved on, right? But it didn't make the experience less any better. The experience was bad, and that's it, right? So I think from my closing thoughts, it would be maybe the end of privacy isn't about losing control to surveillance. It's how much of ourselves we are willing to hand over just to feel seen. So think about that. It's not really about the surveillance. It's about how much of yourself you would like to give. And you need to determine that. You need to make decisions that helps you gauge that helps you determine, oh, this is the amount of myself I'm willing to change, that I'm willing to share online, or that I'm willing to have people see. Do you get? And take control of actively making sure that people don't get more than that. Do you understand? Like, it's very important to do that. So I had a couple of questions that I would like to ask. I was going to ask myself, but I don't think I have a lot of time for that. I feel like this episode is long enough. I don't even know how many minutes right now, but I feel like it's long enough and we've done enough. We've spoken about different things. So the end of short of it is that it's the end of privacy, but you have to determine what privacy means for you, right? And also, another thing that I think is very important is telling yourself that you don't have, or you don't want a digital footprint, or you don't have a digital footprint might not be the best idea, right? Sometimes you just need to turn on the hose, but then determine how high you want it to be. To get, like, if it's going to be sip, just keep it at that sip. If you want it loud, make it at that. Like, you determine how high you want it to be. But saying that, oh, I'm a this person type of person, if you have the capacity to, you can. There are some people that are, but it takes a lot to be that person. It takes a lot to be those type of people, and you might not have the capacity to do that. So if you know that you don't have the capacity to be that person that doesn't have a data footprint, you have to actively control your data footprint. Make sure you have full control over it. Like, at least as much as control that you can have, I guess. So let's go to the last thing, which I mentioned I'll be doing at the end of each episode. So for this week, we have 3 articles again, right? And the first one is by Danko. And by the way, I think Danko is such a great writer. Maybe I think he has like very strong things to share, like great things to share. And when he shares them, they are very. It's easy for me to read his articles, and every time I read this article, like, I find myself jotting and jotting and jotting and jotting. So it's like he's such a great writer. So, but this particular article is on his Substack, and it's titled Most creators will fail in the next 12 months. Most creators will fail in the next 12 months. That's the title of the article by Danko on Substack. That's the first article. The second article is not really an article per se, though. It's a podcast episode She gets, but there's an article attached to it, and there's a video of it. It's an actual video, and it is the How to Write podcast. If you've heard about it, by David Powell, right? And he's the host, and so he brought Henry Carlson up on this particular episode, and the title of it was "The Writing Process Nobody Teaches You." And I watched it, and I think it was very interesting. There was so many things to learn from it. So yeah, if you're someone that is interested in, like, you want to get better as a writer, or you're interested in writing, I think it's an episode you should watch. And I also think that this particular episode is not those type of episode that those type of things that you watch and you are moving on. It's like something that you learn so much from that you can still keep applying in the next couple of years, right? So yeah, the Eric Carlson guy, I've never heard of him until this particular episode, and now I'm looking forward to some of his content because it feels like he has like some in-depth knowledge, especially when it comes to writing. So if you're someone that is interested in that, that might be like a thing for you. So the next one is live a disciplined life spontaneously. That's the third one. Live a disciplined life. That's the title though. Live a disciplined life spontaneously by Naval. Of course, there's going to be a Naval episode. There's going to be a Naval article. So it's on Substack. If you search for Naval's archive, you see it's there. He actually recently released it early this month, and it was such an interesting article. Like, it was such an interesting one. It's like, if you're somebody that has been battling with how to be disciplined, right? Or thinking about the thought of, you've been thinking about, oh, discipline and spontaneity, and like somebody like myself, right? It's hard for me to stick to one routine, which is very bad because if you can't be disciplined and dedicated to like a routine, your chances of success might not be so high. But for someone like me, it's like you need to have a balance between spontaneity and discipline, right? So, and this article spoke about how you can look at that and approach that, right? And I think it was very interesting. So yeah, the title of the article is "Live a Disciplined Life Spontaneously." So that is the end of this particular episode, and I'm looking forward to doing the next one next week. I have another topic already in mind. But if there's anything that you guys would like to hear about, or like anything you'd like to share, or anything you'd like for me to talk about, to share my point of view on, please, please, please share it. I would love to hear from you, and I could pick from any topic that you mentioned if it's something that I find interesting, and share my thoughts on it. But yeah, I'm hoping to get better at this thing and do more of it and do it in a better way. But one of the things I've done with this particular podcast is make the process of getting it out easy. To get, so it's like shooting it shouldn't be hard, or like it shouldn't stress me. That way I can do more of it. So yeah, I'm getting there.